Welcome back to the Scaredy Cat Guide, my friends. My name is Ginny, and today we are talking about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway in Disney's Hollywood Studios. If you're new here, this is the channel where we talk about theme parks and anxiety. We talk about sensory issues and really just anything that you might want to know if you're an anxious rider like I am. Now, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is a really fun little attraction. It's a lot like Ratatouille or even Rise of the Resistance in the sense that it is a trackless ride, so it's very different from some of the other older attractions you'll find here in the parks. Now, of course, with this newer ride system comes a couple of things that we might want to talk about, especially if you struggle with anxiety like I do. So without further ado, let's dive into those details. This ride around the park contains the potential for motion sickness, some pretty significant sensory overload, and a simulated drop. Now let's start off by talking about that motion sickness. Now what we have here is a trackless ride with lots of jerky movements and unexpected maneuvers. Now this ride definitely whips you around a little bit, and though there's no real spinning, it's not a relaxing experience by any means. Now on top of these jerky maneuvers, we also have large screens and rushing visuals. This could be a really bad combination if you struggle with motion sickness, though each scene and segment of this ride is pretty fast-paced and it's over quickly. It really will depend on the person here. I personally don't have any issues with motion sickness with this one. However, it really does have all the ingredients for motion sickness if that is something that you struggle with. Now moving right along, let's talk about the sensory overload here. Now we have lots of bright colors and noisy visuals, as well as loud noises and some moments of peril. We also have some wind effects to simulate a tornado and flashing lights during a dance segment. And the last little sensory element you'll experience is a quick little vibration in your seat as Goofy pulls the wrong lever right at the end of the ride. Now, none of these elements are really extreme, but they are there. And if you don't like having those extra sensory elements like wind effects, smoke effects, or even that little vibration in your seat, I definitely could see where you could be caught off guard by some of these elements. Now, finally, let's talk about that simulated drop. Now, let's be clear, there is no actual drop on this ride, but the visuals on screen, the wind effects can be pretty darn convincing. Now, this particular scene happens as you are seemingly about to go over a waterfall, and just like on Ratatouille, all of this takes place on screen. Your ride vehicle does not actually move, but it's immersive enough that it might just give you that stomach in your throat feeling anyway. I personally felt that kind of dropping stomach sensation the first time that I rode this, and since then it hasn't really bothered me. But just be prepared, it definitely can feel like you're dropping even though your ride vehicle is staying still. Now let's talk about those ride vehicles. So what we have here are individual cars that seat about 8 guests in 2 rows. Now it is worth noting that an adult will need to sit on the end, so if you are traveling with children, you'll need to make sure that they go into the ride vehicle first. Also, a lot like alien swirling saucers, you can be squished a little bit on this ride as it whips you around, so just take note of that if you are riding with little ones. You might really need to hang on to that lap bar to make sure that you're not squishing those next to you. Now, speaking of lap bars, this ride has one. It's a shared lap bar, so everyone in your row will be sharing the same lap bar. To me personally, it's not any more confining than any other lap bar, but it's definitely worth knowing that it's there. Now, when it comes to the ride duration, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway clocks in at 6 minutes and 10 seconds. This is actually slightly on the longer side when it comes to other dark rides like this one. However, this one is so action-packed, it's so fast-paced that I was actually surprised at how long it is. It's really over before you know it, and everything's happening so fast that it's really over in a blink. And now that you have all the facts, let's actually go hop in line. Now this one sits at around a 45 to 55 minute wait time, so a little bit of a wait, but trust me, it is well worth it. So let's go ride this together. You'll find the entrance to this attraction on Hollywood Boulevard in Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now, once you enter the queue, you will be directed into a little outdoor area where you will wind back and forth for just a little while. Now, this outdoor area has a little bit of cover from the sun, but be prepared if you're here on a very hot day, there is no AC or anything to speak of when you are in this outdoor section. However, after winding back and forth for a little while, you'll make your way inside into the beautiful Chinese theater. And this area is very spacious, it's decorated very beautifully, and personally, I love this part of the queue. Now the line itself will just wind back and forth until you find a cast member who will send you on into the next room. Now after going down a ramp, you'll find another cast member who will send you on towards the pre-show. Now as you can see, the pre-show was out of commission when I was filming, so thank you so much John Whitechen for once again letting us use your footage here. Now the pre-show is really just a short little video. The only thing of note here is a small simulated explosion that involves a loud bang and some smoke effects. Now this isn't too overstimulating, at least for me, but I could definitely see it being a little bit jarring if you weren't expecting it. Of course, like with all attractions, be sure to ask a cast member about skipping the pre-show if you think that might be best for your party. They will be able to give you all the information on whether or not this one can be skipped, where you should go, and whether or not it's a good fit for your family. Now after this pre-show room, you'll end up at the train station where everything is themed to a T. You look like you are walking into a cartoon, and it really sets the tone for the rest of the attraction. Now once you actually reach the loading station, a cast member will send you into individual rows and you can board the ride vehicle. Now what starts off as a relaxing ride around the park turns quickly into absolute mayhem. After running into Mickey and Minnie, your train car will disconnect from Goofy's train and you'll find yourself in a very Western canyon-like sequence. Now Mickey and Minnie attempt to come to your rescue, of course, but not before you're whisked off into a carnival scene. This lovely nighttime carnival is unfortunately interrupted, however, by a tornado that spins you out into a rainforest scene. Now this is where you'll find that simulated drop as you go careening down a waterfall after Mickey and Minnie. At the bottom, however, you'll be suddenly plunged into an underwater sequence before being drained through a sewer and into a cityscape. Here you'll find Pete on a very loud jackhammer before bursting into Daisy's dance lesson where you'll do a quick little waltz and then a very spirited conga. Now from here, we hit the climax of the ride where Mickey and Minnie just managed to save you from being crushed in a factory. Now once they shut off the machines, your surroundings will suddenly melt away into a beautiful park complete with sparkling lights and even fireworks. We'll pass by our heroes, Mickey and Minnie, enjoying a picnic before arriving right back at the loading station. Now a cast member will direct you towards the exit, which once again is very straightforward. You'll just head down a hallway and find yourself right back out into Hollywood Studios. And there we have it. What do you think about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway? To me, this is a super fun little ride, but it's definitely more intense than I think a lot of people give it credit for. I'm always a little surprised to see very, very young children on this ride, not because it isn't family friendly, and the theming itself is very child focused, but it is just a little bit overstimulating, it's loud, and there are a few moments of peril like we talked about. However, I would love to know what you think about it, so don't forget to let me know in the comments below. Now, of course, if you liked this video and you would like to see more like it, don't forget to like, subscribe, stick around, stay a while. We would love to have you in our little community of anxious riders. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.